What's going on YouTube? This is Kyle Doval here with his day 2 deck profile.
Very skillful.
At YCS Memphis. Tell us what you played today.
I played Mekk-Knight Invoked. So a lot of people have kind of jumped off this bandwagon because people figured out how to play it, and the FTK exists, and I will be the first to say that the FTK Pendulum is definitely the best deck. I tested it before this event. I was terrible with it. I didn't want to play it. I wasn't comfortable with it, so I played the deck I was comfortable with. This deck is still very good. It really only has one bad matchup, and that's Draco, so most of my side deck was for that. But anyway, I'll just get into it. I'll talk a little bit about the matchups later, I guess. So a lot of it's standard. 3 Alistair, of course. He's the 1-card engine in the deck.
1 card?
Yeah. 3 blue is still, some people talk about only playing 2 of this, which is fine. But game 1, he's still good to open with, because a lot of times game 1, he searches at least 1, sometimes 2. I always side 1 out though. He's not very big, and he's not the right level, so he's definitely not the best one. Nightfall is definitely the best one for sure. He is level 8, he's bigger, he returns to the field when he searches. He's really, really good. He's the one you want to open with. In the mirror, he is literally the best card in the mirror, not close. He puts pressure on the opponent because he's always there. This card is this is definitely the best one for sure. I played 2 Indigo. I did not play red or yellow. I think those cards are not very good. They are not level 8. They require you to already be playing. You basically have to open blue in order for red or yellow to be good. So I didn't like that. So I just played a 2nd Indigo instead. That opens up the rank 8 play more often. And if you open Indigo going 2nd, a lot of times you can just kill them in 1 turn. So he's pretty good. I would rather just play 2 of him, I think. And then we played a lot of hand traps because the FTK exists. We played 3 Ogre. He's good against everything except for Trickstar, so he's pretty good. He's really good in the mirror because, like I said, purple is the best card in the mirror, and he kills purple, so that's really, really good. 3 Ash is definitely the best hand trap right now. Draco is very prevalent. They play Card of Demise, they play Pot of Desires. You have Ash against them, you're in good shape unless they have a Watto. Yeah, 3 Droll was really shitty, actually. This card was very, very low impact the whole tournament. I actually cut this for the side events for Effect Veiler. This card's just really mediocre. Because the problem I have with this card is it doesn't actually kill anything. They get to resolve a search, and then you stop them, which is whatever, but it's just not great against anything. It's good. It's really only really good against 1 deck, and that's Draco, and they play a Watto. So a lot of times you can't even do this. So this card it's whatever. It's also not a very good attribute. It's wind. So Rage In is some people don't even play it. I don't know.
Oh, but you can knowledge it away.
Droll wasn't good. This, however, was this card was really, really good. So this card, Gamma is insane against Pendulum. Unless they open perfectly, Gamma is game every time going 2nd. So you wait. You don't Gamma the first Electromite because that's not high impact enough. You wait for either the 2nd Electrum or you wait for Starving Venom, and you Gamma that, and they will usually just end on literally nothing. Now you have to read what they have. If they have access to Jackal, obviously this is not as good because they can negate it. But usually most of their hands don't let them do that. And if you have Gamma, this is also the other thing. This is insane against the 60 card decks. So you let them make their play, and when they summon Curious, you just Gamma it, and they've wasted 3 resources and got nothing, and you just win. So Gamma is Gamma was a lot better than Droll. I think Gamma was honestly the 2nd best hand trap I played, probably behind Ash.
Did you play any 60 card builds?
Yes I did. And I actually didn't get to Gamma his Curious because he didn't get that far, because I was able to Ash his plant, his Predaplant, so he didn't get that far. But it was this card every single time. No one plays around this card anymore because most Invoked players have cut it for Veiler. So no one plays around Gamma, and when they don't play around it, you just kill them when you open it. This card's really, really good. That's all the hand traps, so that was 12. I played 3 terraforming, obviously. Only 2 meltdown, actually. Like, the way I figured it, I'm playing 8 Alistairs, and that's honestly enough. And the other way, like playing 3 meltdown and 2 terraforming, is like really shitty because meltdown cannot be set to make a column for your Mekk-Knights, but terraforming can. So I would just rather play it this way.
Right.
And also, since I was playing Gamma, terraforming like baits hand traps a lot. Like that happened like 3 times in the main event where they would like droll after terraforming resolves, and then you just Gamma and the game's over. Like they instantly scoop. So that's actually like pretty relevant.
Are you playing Omega?
Yes, yeah, of course.
Okay.
So I played 3 Invo. This is mostly just because everyone always ashes Alistair, like always. So then if you hard open Invo, the ash like literally didn't do anything. It's like they discarded a card for nothing. I'm not sure I would consider playing 2. I think 3 is correct.
Got the nice ulti.
It's just, yeah, of course, you know, it's the only way to play it. But I think 3 is definitely the correct number. You want to draw this card in your opening hand because people always save their hand traps for Alistair, like Valor or Ash, and then you just draw this anyway because you're playing 3, and it's like super good.
You ever break with too many?
Almost never, no. Because you play 8 Alistair, so normally you will see it with that, so it's fine. So I played 2 Scapegoat. I didn't want to play 3 because like resolving the second one is usually really low impact because you don't have the extra deck room to commit to that. But the 2 that I played, like normally when you draw this card, it's like super good. You know, some people like who play this deck don't like it because it is indeed like not a great going second card, but it is the only card I played in this deck that's like a going first card, if you want to call it that. Like literally every other card is like going second, and like this card summons 4 monsters for free. Like that's insane.
And it's just gonna get better with the nightmares.
Yeah, exactly. Like this card, like unless, like you can't just flip it randomly because like Starving Venom with Piercing exists and Purgatrio exists. Like you have to be smart with it. But usually you have enough hand traps, etc., to like survive to the end phase. And then when you flip this on the end phase, they just die the next turn. Like they just lose. This is also really good if your mecha that gets Reaper. That actually did not happen to me once all weekend, but it does exist. So this card, it's just good. Like summoning 4 monsters for free in a link format is really good. So 2 instant fusion. This card's really good too. So if you have Meltdown, they cannot negate the activation of this, which some people don't even think about because it is not like invocation, so they just don't even consider that.
Counts as fusion summon.
Yeah, exactly. But they also so this card, it has a lot of utility in that if they make you go if you blind second and they just pass, if you open this plus like mekks, you can just kill them because this card gives you a column by itself, which is really good. And then of course, like the Thousand Eyes can steal a monster for free, so it's a must negate that only costs you 1,000 life points. So this card was really good overall. I played this and Scapegoat. I actually did not play Mind Control at all in the main deck. I think Mind Control is totally unplayable right now. And a lot of Invoked players still play Mind Control, but the reason I did not play it, like if you think about it, against Draco, Masterpiece is always unaffected, always, by the Mind Control, so it's a blank against them. And most competent Pendulum players play the FTK, and you don't get a turn, so Mind Control doesn't matter against them either. So it's really shitty against the 2 best matchups. It's pretty low impact against Trickstar too. So like stealing their monster just doesn't do much. Unless they have like Borreload or something, I don't know, but you don't have a problem mounting Borreload anyway. So basically what I thought was this is basically Mind Control that gives you a column because it summons something. Mind Control doesn't actually summon anything, so I think this card is just better than Mind Control right now. And not playing Mind Control gives you spots to play more hand traps, which is important because of the FTK.
Right. Now, would you bring Mind Control back after the FTK if that gets hit?
Probably. Mind Control is still pretty good against the Pendulum decks that don't FTK, like the mid-range deck. Mind Control is still good against them because it's a must negate. But until we get a list, I don't think mind control is very good. So I only played 2 desires. This was 100% incorrect. I actually changed this back to 3 as soon as I could. Like, you don't draw it enough when you play 2, and this card is insane in this deck. It literally doesn't matter what you banish. You want to open this every single game. 2 is like firmly incorrect, like 3 is correct. But I played 2 day 1 because I'm an idiot. And then I played Regeki and Reborn. There were a couple games I won because I opened Reborn. Like, you're going second, and you can just Reborn literally anything, which
Reborn
is
is good.
awesome. And, you know, Regeki is just, like, generically pretty good. Like, you can just wipe their board and kill them. So, you know, both of these cards are pretty good, obviously. So that's it for the main deck. It was 40. You know, you don't want to play over 40 because you want to open consistently the same hand every game, basically. You want to open hand traps, Mekks, and Alistair.
Glad it worked out for you
yeah,
at the tournament.
Yeah, that's that. The side deck, I actually changed this a little bit too after the main event because there was, like, I played 2 Gamma Seal because Masterpiece is a problem. If your opponent, so if you play Draco and they're like actually good, then Masterpiece is a pretty big problem actually. So I would consider probably playing 3 of this instead of 2.
Maybe Kamungus. That way, in case you draw 2 kaijus?
No. That's just not really very relevant, honestly, because, like, once you kaiju them, if you've drawn literally any playable card in your deck at all, you can get over the kaiju. So that's just not.
Okay.
That's just not, like, super relevant. But like I said, I would definitely consider playing 3 of this instead of 2. I played Twin. This card is infinitely better than Cosmic because the problem is the decks that you side this against, like Inspector, Border, Stun, which thankfully I didn't play against at all. That deck is obnoxious. But I didn't play that at all. Or like Draco. Hitting 1 card is like not enough because they set several. So Cosmic is just not great. Like, you want to hit 2 at a time. This is another card that, like, playing 3 of would be totally fine because you, like, going second against those decks, like, you want to open with this. So, like, Twin, like, your discard is not important because you're hitting like 2. So it's like Twin was really good. I was gonna side Torrential, but I actually ended up siding 3 Chalice instead. This card is just like really good going first or second. It's like generic like negation. So against Pendulum, if they make you go first, you can set this and like negate either Dark Worm or Electrum and set them back a little bit.
It's also good for like the Fossil Dyna if you run into it.
Yeah, that was
Some people are
like the decks that make Saryuja and summon Fossil Dyna off of the Saryuja are really scary. So you just Chalice the Saryuja, they don't draw 4, and they don't summon. Or if you're going second, you can just Chalice the Dyna itself. So this deck was, or this card was pretty good. I sided this like a pretty decent amount actually. When I like against most decks, when I think they're going to make me play first, I just side at least 2 of these, if not all 3, and it was pretty good.
Did you ever have to use it for the attack boost to get over something?
No, I did not. That actually never came up, although that is another thing that definitely could. But it's usually just for like problem monsters like Fossil Dyna or Vortex or whatever. So this is pretty much just for Draco when they summon a Watto.
Additional hand traps.
Yeah, they summon a Watto and then they play like really stupidly because they think they're like protected because you can't hand trap them. So they will like waste resources in order to get Heritage and try to draw 3. And then when you Typhoon the Heritage at that point, they just like die because they were expecting to draw 3 and didn't. So they end on like 3 cards even though they drew insane.
They also don't get additional tribute summon.
Yeah, exactly. But you spent 1 card when they were expecting to get 3, and at that point you're like almost definitely going to win. This is also good against like Pendulum too. You know, popping Scales is good. You can wait until near the end of their combo when their second election targets a scale, and then you just pop it, and they don't get anything from it. That's like really good too. But yeah, Typhoon is like a pretty solid choice. It was very good pretty much every time.
Would you try it at 3?
I would consider 3. Yes, I don't mind because this is a card you like want to see. So evenly matched is like I actually like didn't side this like for a couple of events before this, which is like insane when you think about it because this card is like a +4 usually when it resolves. Like Most of the time I sided it, I didn't draw it, but day 2 in my first Draco matchup, he just like set a bunch of cards and passed, and I like opened evenly going second, and I was like, well, I mean, if this resolves, then, you know. So I just like entered battle phase, and he said, oh shit, and I even lead for 4. Like, this card is insane. Like,
you won that match?
Oh yeah, of course. This completely balances out all the decks that just set a bunch and pass. You know, the stun decks that summon Inspector Border and set 3 or 4. It's like decent against Trickstar, the ones that are trap heavy. And this makes the Draco matchup like auto win. If you draw this card, if they don't have Iron Wall, like the match is over.
Anyone have Iron Wall against you?
No, but there was one time I did play around it. Like, I opened evenly and Pot of Desires. So I actually Desires before I played evenly in case he had Iron Wall, because he was going to make the Desires dead.
Right.
And I actually banished all 3 invocations when I did that, so that was shitty. But he didn't have Iron Wall, and this resolved, and I banished 4. So he lost anyway. So I won that match, or I won that game without any
Scapegoat
fusions.
Mekks.
Yeah, I literally just won with Mekks because I banished 4 of his cards. Like, this card is like ridiculous.
No card demise.
Yeah. And then the last 3 were D-Barrier. I did not side Anti-Spell. I think this card is like just as good against Pendulum in this deck, because if you get them to commit just a little bit, you just kill them the next turn. So, like, and some people play this card really ignorantly, and it's really annoying. So people will like send Darkworm to grave with one of their starter cards, and then they'll activate Darkworm and grave, and people will just flip this, and that is like so ignorantly stupid.
Yep.
Like, you let them summon the Darkworm, and you barrier the effect, and they just like pass with a thing for your column, and then you just kill them. Or the other thing, if they don't do that, you let them summon Electrum, resolve the effect, and then if they reveal Astro or Chrono in hand, you barrier that. So those aren't summoned, and they're stuck with their Electrum in the extra X zone. Like, you need Pendulum to commit at least 1 card, or you can't kill them. So barrier is actually better than Anti-Spell, because Anti-Spell they'll just pass, and you can't kill them.
Let them minus first.
Yeah, and also they side removal for Anti-Spell, but none of the removal they side plays around this. Like, this is not continuous. So this is guaranteed to floodgate them.
Mm-hmm.
So this card was actually like, I don't regret playing this over Anti-Spell at all. This card was like really good.
Most people play both, but yes, you played evenly, it looks like. Over
Yeah, evenly is just like, Draco is a problem. Like, game 1 you lose most of the time to Draco, and they're a problem. So you can't commit like a ton of cards, like not for Draco, since that's the second best deck. So the extra deck, I only had room for 2 Mekka. I like 3, but 2 was like the most I could fit, and the third one like literally never came up.
Thank goodness.
So it was, it doesn't normally. The game's usually over by like turn 3 most of the time. 1 Purgatrio is definitely enough. I've been playing 1 for a while now. It's like only good against Pendulum because they put their fire in their grave.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the second one never comes up.
Infernoids.
That deck is absolutely terrible. That is not relevant. So Elysium, I actually never made this once all weekend, but he's like really, really good. And yeah, I think you'd like have to play him.
Comes up once a tournament.
Yeah, he's like really good against like ABC. You can banish their whole field, but I did not play ABC all weekend, so you still have to play him. And this was the only instant fusion target I played. I did not play Ray Jin. I did not have room to play Ray Jin because I played Scapegoat. This card's just like a must negate because it steals your opponent's best monster. So, you know, Thousand Eyes was like obviously very good.
Mm-hmm.
Then I played Link Karibo and Link Spider, like solely for Scapegoat, obviously. Proxy Dragon was also just for Scapegoat. This could have actually been like Flame Administrator instead, because you literally only use this as a bridge to make Ibn and Grisu. So it could have been Flame Administrator instead, because Flame Administrator is a fire, and it gives you a fire for your grave for Purgatrio.
Right.
That's only like really relevant against Pendulum when you want a fire to try to kill them. So it's not usually relevant, but it still could have been that, and it would have been fine. Underclock's obviously insane. Like, you just kill people when you go Underclock Purgatrio, make their monsters 0, and then just attack it and attack everything else, and they just die.
There's a new Fire Link monster coming out with the Nightmares, and it's just any 2 monsters of different names, so like it'll be much better to use than the Flame Administrator.
Yeah, that's true, but like this is like easily the best rank Link 2 that you can possibly play. Like, this card is insane.
Yep.
And then Ibn and Grissu, I made this nearly every time I had Scapegoat. This is like ignorant. Like you draw a card, you out their best card, it doesn't target. This is 4,300 attack just between the two of them. You haven't even like that doesn't even count the Mekka that you'll make. These two. You know, some people cut these to make room when they play Scapegoat for other stuff, but like this little 2-card combo is just like too good. This is just like really, really good utility. Decode is a staple. You need like the generic Link 3. You have to have it, and also he's like really big. He's like 3,300 if you summon 2 here, so he lets you OTK. Skulldread, I never made Skulldread one time, even though I played Scapegoat and Gamma, so I could have made him like a few times, and he's like obviously really good, but I just like never made him. Like I don't know. I made Ibn and Grissu pretty much every time I had Scapegoat, and like I don't think I would like cut him. I don't think I would not play him, but he's like I never made him one time. It just like never came up where I like wanted to make this. I played Omega because I played Gamma. You know, Omega's really good. If you get really unlucky and banish like all your Alistairs or something, Omega can return one to the grave, and then when he dies, you can return himself and Alistair to the deck. So like he has the added utility of like fixing. If you have like a completely horrible Desires, he can fix it by himself. And you know he's also just really, really good in general.
You can also like use
he's just a great generic level 8.
Level 3 tuner and like blue Sky.
That does occasionally come up too. So you don't even have to draw Gamma to make him. And then the last card was Heliopolis. I did not have room to play multiple. Before I was playing the Cypher and the Cypher Blade, but I did not have room for that now. And this card is actually just ignorant. Like, there was one dude I made this against, and like I summoned this, and I had like a couple dead monsters in my hand. So I summoned this under the Underclock Taker. So I targeted it and his monster to put it at 0. And then I attributed the Underclock and 2 monsters in my hand to wipe his whole field, except for the monster I put at 0. And then I summoned Mekka here, and like a Mekk here, and he just like died.
Yeah.
Like this card is like ridiculous. It just wipes entire boards. It's free. Like it's generic. He's huge. He has 3,000. Like if you're only gonna play one rank 8, this should be the one you play. Like this card is like ridiculous.
You said you won a mini regional after this as well?
Yeah, I did. So I got so I made day 2. I won round 9, and I lost round 10 to Draco because game 3 going first. Like he didn't even open super great, which is the most annoying thing about it. Like he ended on Masterpiece with 2 sets and Diagram. So like I side 10 cards for that matchup. I side a ton of removal because like that matchup is basically free after siding as long as you draw well, but I only drew 1 removal card. I drew Twin. So during the standby phase, he flips Erupt, and I chained Twin, targeting both of his sets, and if it resolved, it was game. 100% game. But he had Solemn Judgment to negate the Twin. So at that point, I'm down to 4 cards, and he has Masterpiece Erupt. And I just like, the rest of my hand was shit, and I like couldn't out it. So I lost round 10. So I did not get a chance to advance. It was disappointing, but I entered basically the same list into a regional like thing. The only changes I made were I played a 3rd Desires because that is just correct to play 3 because this card's insane. It says draw 2.
What did you cut for the 3rd Desires?
I cut for the day 2 thing. I cut the 3 Drolls for the 3rd Desires and 2 Effect Failers because basically I wanted to play the 3rd Desires, and that did not give me room to play this unless I played over 40. So I just played 2 Valor instead, and the Valor was still pretty good too. Like honestly, Droll and Valor are both good. It just depends on your matchups. But the most important thing was that I play the 3rd Desires because that card is a +1. So yes, I did indeed. Like it's not a big thing. Those regional things are shit, but I did win one. I won the only one I entered, and I won this this cool Madden deck box whatever.
Any shout outs you want to give?
Yes. So, like, I did not play Mind Control because Alex told me not to. She said that card was shit, and I tried it without it, and that card is indeed shit. That card is literally not good against anything anymore until the FTK goes away. Like, so not playing Mind Control is 100% correct. I know that's not standard, but trust me, try a list without it. You will not miss it. That card is not good.
At least until the format changes.
Yeah, I was also going to play Torrential instead of Chalice, but the Chalice was like really good in the side.
You're welcome.
Because this card is going first or second. So like overall the deck performed really well. Like I lost to Trickstar. I lost to Trickstar by 100 in time, game 3, when he had no field and no hand, which was incredibly annoying. Like, I hate that deck so much. Like, literally that deck's ceiling is winning in time, game 3, with no resources, and I hate it. So I lost to that. I lost to Draco, the dude who had Masterpiece Erupt, and I couldn't out it, game 3.
You tied one, it says, right?
Yeah. I tied against... I actually tied against Draco also, because... I won game 1, and he won game 2 in time, and we did not get to go to a game 3, which I think I would have won. That dude was like not very good, but you know, we did not get to go to a game 3. And my other loss was to like Pendulum, like not FTK, but the regular deck.
Too many negates.
And no, he just hard opened the trap game 1 and 3 going first. He hard opened that shit both times.
Nice.
And game 3, like. I had what I needed to go through his board, but I misplayed by... Like, I made Heliopolis one step too early so that he could negate it, instead of making him negate something else, and then making Heliopolis and just clearing his scale and his trap, and then leaving him with nothing. But I, like, completely played it backwards, so his trap actually mattered.
Gotcha.
So, you know, but this deck is still, like, pretty good. This does not have as bad of a Draco matchup as some people say it does. You just have to side a lot for it. Mm-hmm. And other than Draco, this deck has like pretty good matchups against like everything.
Right.
When you play this many hand traps, you're like not losing to the FTK. And other than Draco, no other deck can really like compete with this. I think like this is still a pretty good choice. Until we get a new list, and then it'll, you know, it honestly all just depends on the list. But this is still a pretty good deck.
All right.
Yeah.
Good event, good deck. Thanks for the share.
Yep.